Hello everybody, it's me Ross and welcome to another video. Today I'm joined by good old Stuart Watson to bring you another instalment in players Town could sign. We brought you left-sided, we brought you strikers. Today we've got attacking midfielders, the creative spark. We've already got players like Conor Chaplin, Sone, Aluko, young Cameron Humphreys. But Stu, you've made a great list, a great article you did a few weeks ago. We've got 5 players that we're going to limelight on. First of all, we're going to start with a man I would love Town to sign back when he was at Gillingham, Bradley Dack, 28 years old now at Blackburn. Been a big fan of him for a while, but he's had a lot of injuries. But Bradley Dack's do.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into Bradley Dack, I think Ipswich do need another attacking midfielder. We don't know if Kieran McKenna's going to play with those 2 number 10s behind one striker, or whether it will be 2 strikers with one behind. But you've mentioned the players that Ipswich have got: Chaplin, Aluko, Humphreys. I think they need one more. Whether Bursant Selina comes back remains to be seen. I haven't got him in this list that we're going to go through, but we'll start with Bradley Dack, someone that I think without the injuries, Ipswich would have no chance of signing. He's been described by his former Blackburn manager, Tony Mowbray, as potentially the best midfielder in the Championship. But he's had 2 really bad injury hit years, 2 ACL injuries. He's not had a pre-season. This will be his first pre-season in 3 years. Just started to get back into action at the back end of the season, came on in 9 of their last 10 games, never more than 45 minutes at a time. They were just easing him back in. He was due to get married this summer, but he's postponed it in order to concentrate on his fitness and get himself going. Still only 28. And there's a bit of uncertainty, obviously, at Blackburn. I've mentioned Tony Mowbray. He's left. Blackburn, I think, are now 4 weeks into their manager search, still no nearer to appointing someone. You just wonder if there's an opportunity for Ipswich to come in and get a proven goal scorer, someone who's scored hatfuls of goals from midfield. Bradley Dack, he's got Blackburn promoted from League One in the past. He's done the business in the Championship. It's just that injury question mark over him. But that, maybe whoever comes in at Blackburn might think good player, but the injuries would be a concern to them. Whether Ipswich would look beyond those injuries and see his undoubted quality, I don't know, but I thought he was a name worth mentioning.
I think so too. There's another name on this list, and it's an ambitious name. A former loan player, just like Bursant Selina. This time it's Tom Lawrence. Of course, that loan spell back in 2016-17, 11 goals, and at times he was the man sort of just creating chances and carrying the team. But at that point, we were struggling with some results. But he's at Derby now. 28 years old, captained them last season. Of course, they got relegated to League One, but a lot of problems at Derby. But Tom Lawrence, a lot of Town fans will go, "Oh, interesting," but a very ambitious name.
Yeah, he carried Ipswich during that period, didn't he? In 16-17, things were just starting to go downhill under Mick McCarthy. The stagnation had really started to take hold at Portman Road, but Tom Lawrence went on a real good goal-scoring spell. I think he ended up with 11. They all came in quite a small period from memory. Ipswich couldn't afford to get him from Leicester then. He moved to Derby, I think, for £5 million. And he spent the last 5 seasons with Derby. And by all accounts, last season was his best season, despite Derby going down. Obviously, we know the circumstances of the hefty points deduction. A really good effort from Wayne Rooney's men to try and overcome that. Fell just short in the end, but Tom Lawrence scored 11 goals for them and was, as you mentioned, handed the captaincy by Wayne Rooney. He's out of contract this summer. Rooney's made it clear he wants to keep him. Whether Lawrence signs that new contract at Derby remains to be seen, or is there an opportunity for Ipswich Town to swoop? He'll have known the area and he'll know Ipswich Town as a club. I would imagine there'll be some Championship interest as well that Ipswich could be up against. But we know now, under the American ownership and with Mark Ashton at the wheel, that Ipswich can compete with Championship clubs for players of that ilk. So I think he would fit into what Ipswich are trying to do. He could play, if we're talking about Selina potentially not coming back, he's sort of a left-sided, but prefers to play as a sort of a number 10 drifting out towards the left-hand side. So I think he could fit in quite nicely into the left side of those double number 10s potentially. Plays with a real aggressive edge, so I don't think League One football would be an issue for him. And can hit a dead ball as well, can take a set piece, which is something that Ipswich are badly lacking. So ticks a lot of boxes, Tom Lawrence, but again falls into the kind of ambitious target category, no doubt about it.
But with it proven, Mark Ashton, even Kieran McKenna, there's a pool there for players dropping down to League One. So you never know with Tom Lawrence. But the third name on this list, he's 30. He's a free agent now. Just like Bradley Dack, he was unbelievable in League One, and he then went on to play Championship football. Romain Sawyers, of course, went to Brentford, then went to his boyhood club of West Brom, was on loan at Stoke last season. As I said, he's a free agent, 30 years old now, but he's a name that has been around for a while, Stu, and he's still got it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm kind of living on former memories of Romain Sawyers. I kind of remember him best from his period at Brentford when Ipswich were kind of vying with Brentford as an upwardly mobile club in the Championship, when Ipswich obviously finished 6th that season under Mick McCarthy. And that was a really good Brentford side who played some nice football. And I remember Romain Sawyers kind of being at the heart of that, technically a very good footballer, and has played a lot of Championship football, and seems to be someone who's quite robust and has been able to rattle out the games season after season. Nice bit of versatility. He could play as a deeper midfielder. He could play as one of those number 10s as well. Still only 30, as you mentioned, and has just been released by West Brom, having been on loan at Stoke towards the back end of last season. So I'm not sure whether he's sort of past the peak of his powers now, but still only 30 years of age, and someone that could bring a nice bit of experience and versatility to this squad, I thought.
Indeed. Now, so 3 experienced players, some maybe ambitious signings as well. Now to 2 youngsters. We're going to start off with one man who's played now for 2 back-to-back seasons in the 4th tier of England football. Now is Finn Azeez. Sorry if I butchered that. I'm so sorry. As you know, I'm terrible. But he's 21. Spent last season on loan at Newport County. Named League 2 Young Player of the Year, Stu. I wasn't there for the Newport game, but he made his debut for Newport against Ipswich in the Carabao Cup when they beat us 1-0. Aston Villa player at the moment, of course, but I'm sure another loan would be ideal for him. But how good was he on that Tuesday night?
Yeah, he's the player that I kind of remembered most from that game. I think that was his Newport debut, actually, when Newport came and won at Portman Road, a game that Ipswich actually dominated, created loads of chances. Not quite sure how they lost 1-0, but Finn Azeez was someone that I remembered from that game. As you mentioned, he's gone on to be named League 2 Young Player of the Year. He was in the League 2 Team of the Season as well. Only 21 years of age, and I would imagine that League 1 will be his next destination. He's had 2 full seasons in League 2. He had a loan spell at Cheltenham where he played 40 plus games. He's just had that season with Newport that we've just mentioned. He looks ready to step up now. If you have a look at a few of his stats, 7 goals, 6 assists last season for Newport. Those are good numbers, but he's averaging nearly 3 shots a game, 2 key passes a game, and is someone that I think looks ready for the step up. Is a proper number 10. And that's the position that we're talking at right now. So we've talked about some experience options. Maybe Finn Azeez, probably on loan, it would have to be, from Aston Villa, might be an option. He was a former West Brom youngster as well. So Ipswich have obviously gone down that route. A lot of West Brom connections with Mark Ashton, Mike O'Leary. He may well know Rakeem Harper and Kyle Edwards as well. So for all of those reasons, Finn Azeez is in the list of names that we're talking about.
Yeah, I like the name Finn Azeez. I like saying that. I can say it properly now, Stu, because I've just sort of copied what you just said. Finn Azeez. I like it. Okay, then the final name on this list, and of course we're always going to have a Kieran McKenna connection with a youngster from Man United, Shola Shorter. I think that's how you say it. Of course, came through the ranks at United under McKenna. 18 years of age. I'm sure Man United, of course, now got a new manager in Eric Den Kaag, but it depends what he sees in these other youngsters at Man United. But I'm sure he'd probably be looking to get a loan spell out. And maybe we've got Conor Chaplin, Sone Aluko and stuff like that. Maybe a loan will just do the job in terms of fill that position.
Possibly, yeah. Shola Shortyre, I'm gonna say that is. Ross is 18 years of age and has been a real prodigy at Man United. He's someone obviously that Kieran McKenna will know, having been a former United under-18s and coach himself. And he's played up age groups throughout the entirety of his career, made his UEFA Youth League debut at 14. He was in the under-23s at the age of 16. He made his senior debut not long past his 17th birthday and was one of their standout players in the under-23s Premier League 2 last season with 6 goals, 8 assists, and that led to him coming on as a substitute for Man United on the final day at Crystal Palace, a 1-0 defeat at Crystal Palace, but Tyre stepped off the bench for them. Ten Hag has obviously worked with young players at Ajax and may want to have a look at some of those youngsters coming through at United over the course of pre-season. So those sort of loans tend to happen later in the transfer window. But if we're talking about Ipswich just adding a bit more depth to this position, we talked about the players that they've got. Maybe they'll be happy to sort of play a bit of a waiting game if it is a case of adding a younger loan player. And Tyre with the Man United connections would be an obvious one. I just wonder whether Neil Wood, his former under-23s manager from last season, will be interested. He's taken the job at Salford with all their connections to Gary Neville and the class of '92. You wonder whether they'll be interested in some of these players as well. But Ipswich should have greater pulling power than Salford if they really want these players. It just depends whether Salford can maybe provide some more guarantees as to game time than Ipswich could. But I'd be surprised if there isn't at least one player from Manchester United that ends up at Portman Road next season.
Yeah, it's guaranteed, and it's always guaranteed, or just a connection to Kieran McKenna with Dominic Ball, signing. He as a coach at Spurs when he was there. But Stu, it's been another great little video here talking about players, Town signing, attacking midfield. Any other business before we wrap up, my friend?
No, I don't think so. There's obviously a longer list online. If people haven't seen it, look it up. There's a few other options on there: experience, young, loan. But attacking midfield is obviously an area that Ipswich need to look at. They've got Ladapo in as a striker. They've got Dominic Ball in central midfield, but there's a few other gaps to fill. So go and hunt that out if you want a few other names.
Indeed, yeah. Watch your space for Town's first summer signing. We'll see who it could be. Stu, thanks again for joining me. Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts, your feelings on these attacking midfielders. Who could Town sign next? And we're back for many more videos throughout the summer, so stay tuned.